Yeah, hello. Welcome to another episode of Hello and welcome to another episode of the Playstyle podcast. I am Ishan, and this is a podcast where game designer, that's me, talks to the players, that's you. Today I have another guest. Luckily, I have got another friend of mine who has agreed to be a part of this podcast and be a guest and talk to me. It's also great that we are catching up after a long time, so it will be like, hey, we haven't spoken for ages. So this is our call to catch up, and we will use this call to talk about games. So welcome to the podcast, Aditya, and just first introduce yourself, and we'll get to the topics later. So hello and welcome.
Hey, thank you, Ishan. So, hi, this is Aditya, uh, school friend of Ishan, and also a kind of confused adult trying to find his way in life, I guess.
Like everyone.
Uh, yeah, like everyone, I don't know, but that's my scenario right now. So, yeah, about myself, I think professionally, I am a HR consultant who helps small companies setting up their teams, and I love working remotely, and that has been I got introduced to remote working since Corona, so it's been 3 4 years now, and I'm really enjoying this culture. But I also often feel this urge of meeting my colleagues at regular intervals, mostly outside work maybe. But yeah, I cannot stay without meeting my colleagues either. Yeah, so
Ah,
that's like the gist.
okay. So great to have you here, and we are going to talk about games. So basically, what
Hmm.
I do over here on this podcast is I like to talk to people from different walks of life, doing different things, who play games, and by play games, it might be any any amount of games, lot of games, very little games, no games. I would just like to talk about games to anyone who likes to talk about games with me. So let's just get to the topic. So can you give me some basic gist of your uh, earliest encounter with games or something like that? Like, have you ever played games? I have no idea whether you have played games or not. Even though we are school friends, we haven't met for what 15 years at least. So it's been a while.
Yeah,
So give me a gist, and then we continue.
yeah. Yeah, suddenly I feel that did I just introduce incorrectly myself saying a school friend of Ishan?
Even I
We know
thought
so
so.
much little about each other, although we have just like spent more than 10 years in the same school. Yeah, that's it. So, uh, me and games, right? I think I would start like how I grew up. So it was in the suburbs of Mumbai. You know the place where we have grown up.
Yeah.
It was I think in the early 1990s and the early 2000s that we were just growing up in Mumbai and in a big city like Mumbai. So I think most of our childhood days we have spent playing outdoor games. Right now, everybody is hooked on to a mobile or a screen or I mean, PlayStations have come to every household. But I think during our days, we spend most of our times outdoor. I still remember every day after finishing school, when I was in like maybe my third, fourth standards, I always look to go out and play with my friends in the building society in the place downstairs. So games like a gully cricket, maybe hide and seek, maybe kho stuff like this was really exciting. And yeah, sorry, you're saying something.
Yeah. So very physical games, like just being out there and
Yeah, games that
experiencing
were
real life.
outside the four walls. Yeah, games that were
Yeah.
outside the four walls.
And
So
did you play anything inside the four walls?
it was that's what I'm coming to. I don't know how this transition happened, but you see this the specs that I'm wearing, the correction on my eye, somehow it is connected to games. I'll tell you about it. So I think it was in my fifth or sixth standard when video games came into major cities of India, and it was one of the summer vacations. I think where I was gifted with the video game, and this became like the. I think our summer vacations used to last for 2 months,
Yeah.
and all these 2 months, it should be at least 8 hours per day. I was hooked onto the video game.
And
I used
which
to
one
only
was
get up.
this?
This was the initial video game which we had to connect to our television sets. The one which we played games like Mario,
Yeah.
Contra.
Yeah.
We used to have these cassettes.
Yes.
We had to load. I mean, stick them in the video game console, and then we used to have this wired remote
Yeah.
controllers. Yeah. So that was my first encounter. That's how I started playing games, and I remember as soon as this 2 months vacation got over, I started going. I mean, our school started, and the first month itself, I was having regular headaches. Like every week, at least 2 or 3 days, I was having severe headaches, and then I went to the doctor, and yeah, voila, I got prescribed with eye correction lenses. So I had nearsightedness, and the power that I started with was like -1 straight away. That's crazy. Yeah, but at that time it never bothered me. I'd never even
At
thought
least you had
about.
fun. Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's what I never bothered about stopping playing or even thinking that okay, did I get this because I was playing nonstop for the last 2 months? I never thought about it. I still continued playing maybe for a year or two, and I think after that we got introduced to this computer games like I think NFS, Need for
Hmm.
Speed, the
Yeah.
Most Wanted series.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the second game that I got hooked on to in my PC was Mortal Kombat.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what version was it, but yeah, we just hitting each other like crazy and breaking the keyboard. Yeah, so that was about my sweet and bitter memories of childhood games.
Okay. Then life happened, and now you're working very like a very professional job again. So how has
Hmm.
your relationship with playing games, be it any PC or console or mobile, anything has been? Are you playing anything now, or are you enjoying something?
I think most recently the games that I have played has been on my mobile phone. It has not been on any console or a PC. Uh, it doesn't matter now if the game is very visually attractive to me. It
Yeah.
matters more to me if I'm able to play it with ease, and if I'm able to get that relaxation for those few minutes or maybe even an hour sometimes. I still remember when Corona started and we were all locked up in our houses. Uh, I don't think everybody had access to a, a console or a PS. So I think mobile phones were the only thing at hand. And that was the time when I got introduced to Ludo. I never knew that Ludo was available on mobile phones before that. And I think I played it for a year or so before I finally said that, okay, that's enough of addiction of playing Ludo.
Which
We need
Ludo
to
were you
get over it.
playing? Do you remember?
Uh, you mean which app?
Because
It was an
yeah,
application on the phone.
yeah. Because I remember there have been so many Ludo
Oh,
copycats
yeah.
and not copycats basically, so many versions of Ludo because
Hmm.
Ludo is a old game. But there was
Hmm.
everyone was making Ludo after one of them worked. So I was
Hmm.
just, do you remember which one was it?
No, I don't actually remember which one was it, but I think the
One of the
highest
Ludos.
rated, one of the highest rated
Okay.
applications on Play Store.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah,
still
so I
playing
think
it?
no, I don't think in the last 1 or 2 years I have played it. No, I still see people sometimes sitting at the corner of the road and that sound of the dice falling
Yeah.
and then you passing on the key. But no, I don't feel that interested in playing Ludo nowadays. I don't know why.
But that was interesting, like this Ludo culture, which came in
Mm.
suddenly. Like I think it was post corona, also because like before that I wasn't aware of it. And
Mm.
when I got back home, I could see a lot of people just playing Ludo everywhere. I traveled in the train once in Mumbai, and there were
Mm.
people playing Ludo over there. I heard
Mm.
stories about how this became like a thing where everyone was just, "Hey, let's have a game of Ludo." I also
Mm.
think
Absolutely.
it was there a little bit before Corona, but like all the getting stuck to your houses, or that just
Mm.
increased that popularity. So yeah.
I think for me, what Ludo made a difference, which other games did not, was how it connected me with my friends, even when I was not able to see them. So normally, when you are in an office environment or when you are with a family, uh, you meet them face to face, right? If you have to play a game of carom or chess, you sit with them and you play that. But when Corona hit, we were stuck outside our homes in different cities. Offices were closed. We were working out from our homes, and this was the first time that in our life, at least in India, that such a thing had happened. So when you have a game like this, which you can sit and play with somebody live, it makes a difference. I remember still that when we play PS or when we used to play those console games, the video games like Mario, Contra, this was one thing that was missing. I mean, playing with your friends simultaneously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know PlayStations have made it possible now, but it still needs a lot of sophistication, lot of hardware support for you to actually be able to get that. Internet speed is still not that great in India. It's still picking up. It has improved a lot, but still not in all the cities. So yeah, I think Ludo made it really simple for people to just open their phone, put it on a charger, and start playing with your friends.
Did you like was there any other games that you played during that time, or was it just Ludo, or were you still trying out different games that were popular?
Uh, I don't remember much of the games that I really got hooked onto. Uh, it would be one of those board games, if not Ludo, then maybe the Snake and Ladder game. That was also, I think, part of the same app. I think we also had the pool table, the brilliance,
Yeah.
the nine balls. That was also like a hit. Carom was also a hit. I mean, everything followed on the lines of Ludo, I guess.
Yeah.
Playing
So
it virtually
and
with your friends. Yeah.
yeah, and it feels like you're also interested in this kind of very a game that replicates your real life experience in some way.
Hmm.
Like Ludo also, I can relate to that because it
Hmm.
was something that you have played while growing up in a real physical environment, and then you
Hmm.
play that again online on your phone or whatever. It makes it like a relatable experience.
That
Is
could
there
be
any?
possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
Uh,
There is. Are you asking about if there is any other game that I have played on my mobile?
Yeah, or anything that you're currently playing, or anything recent. Like it took
Mm.
me some time to realize wait, Corona was 3 years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's been a long time.
Mm. So I think recently I have not played any game on my on a TV or inside the four walls basically. I
Yeah,
mean we have our friends coming over and playing board games. I think Sequence is a new game that we have discovered. I mean, in card games, I still don't know how to play the 52 deck card games.
yeah.
I still don't know that, but I love Uno. That is very common. We have played it since a long time, so it's uncomplicated. So that's a good game that we enjoy with our friends. So
And,
apart from that, since you mentioned if there is any other games that I played on my mobile, I think Shadow Fighter was one game.
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
think I remember that. Yes.
I think it was in the year 2015 or 16 or maybe in that range, in
Yeah,
2015. Uh, I think that was the time when good smartphones, I mean the ones with a good screen, and that was at an affordable price for a middle class
yeah. It started
office
getting
going
affordable.
Indian.
Yes.
Yeah, office going Indian guy maybe. So that was the time when I think that was my second or third smartphone maybe, and Shadow Fight. I don't know how. This was the first time I got really hooked on to a kind of fighting game. Normally, I love racing games a lot. I don't know why, but NFS was a big deal for me when I was in my school. So I used to like plan how and what level, how I will defeat my opponents when I was sitting in school during my lectures. How I'll go home, instantly sit on my PC, and what levels I have to complete today. Otherwise, I'll not sleep. So I know NFS did that to me. So sorry if somebody doesn't understand NFS. It's Need for Speed, and I'm talking about the Most Wanted series. So yeah, NFS, and then Shadow Fighter 2 that I remember, and after that it's Ludo.
Yeah, Shadow Fight.
Yeah.
Shadow Fight or Shadow Fighter. I think. Yeah, even I remember that
Hmm.
I had liked that game a lot. Even I was playing it for a long time. It had a
Hmm.
very nice, different art style and lot of animations and everything happening
Hmm.
in it.
I think what I was trying to say when I mentioned about NFS and also Shadow Fight, uh, these are the games which has a narrative to it. It has a storyline, and you are the central character in that game. So now that I think of how I got hooked onto these games, it was because I was able to be this guy who has like a purpose in life. I mean, right now, when I
So
started this
deep.
podcast, I think, yeah, I mentioned, right? Confused, trying to find my way in life. And now, when I'm just discussing this with you, it hits me that, yeah, that was something that it was really easy, right? That's the end of the tunnel for you. You know, that is where you have to exit. There is light over there. So I think that what makes sense. That what got me hooked. That's what gave us dopamine when we actually were struggling throughout the day, fighting, and then coming back at home and still going at our PCs for hours. And you know that you have to again get back in the morning next day. Maybe you have an
For
exam
school.
in your school. Yeah, then after school you have your 3-4 hours of tuitions and then come back home. Maybe you have slept for just 2-3 hours, but you still will go at your PC once again for another 4-5 hour session. It's crazy.
And why do you think you're not doing it now?
I think the games are already planned by somebody, and somebody tells you what's the start and what's the end. All you have to figure out is how will you go in that path, how will you fight, uh, and that gives you the thrill but in a controlled space. So in our real life somehow I feel that we don't know where to go, we don't know what's the end of the tunnel. So we are all in a journey and we do it for a year or two and then suddenly realize that okay, maybe this is not something that I intend to do, and then you change your path. This could be common in your professional life, it could be in your personal life, anywhere. But life is so uncertain in the real world, and sometimes you just feel like, what are we struggling so much for? I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. But
Wow.
that was
This is getting deep and dark. So, okay, fun
yeah.
podcast, fun podcast. We don't go into existential crisis. Yeah, but do you think you're just busy with your uh, like general life that the games take a backseat now, or is it just like you don't like gaming at all right now?
I think somehow uh, that that time which I used to give to my games, when my games used to keep me hooked on, I think that thing has taken away by things like movies or maybe good web series
Mm.
wherein there is a storyline to it and you somehow connect with some of the characters or some character in that series, and you watch the series in maybe a month's time or maybe 2 weeks or couple of weeks basically. And since you already spend those few hours, and now since we are all growing up, we know that we have finite amount of time in a
Mhm.
day. We have to sleep, otherwise we can't function the next day. Unlike When we were younger, we could just function without sleeping for days. So now I think that time that we used to give for games has been taken up by much more easier media. We don't have
Yeah,
to do any of the work. Just sit down and
yeah,
relax.
fair enough. Like that's a very nice like interpretation of this part. Like I for me, like a lot of times I think like, oh, I would prefer games at some point because it's like an interactive medium which I would like to interact with rather than just sitting back and watching a movie and or watching a series or whatever. Like or people who I have spoken to in other uh, podcasts, like that is one of the reasons. But this is also a
Mm.
very good point for not playing games is that you require less effort to watch, and that is also sometimes a good thing, and that's why you may not play as much games as
Mm.
maybe you would have otherwise.
Possibly. It's also a thing since I have seen the other side of myself, like when I used to play games, the way that I used to get addicted to it. I think even the last game that I played, which I got addicted to, was Shadow Fighter.
Yeah, and Ludo.
So yeah, Ludo was still not that addictive as Shadow Fighter. I know Shadow Fighter was like I have to reach to the end and see what it is. I have to like be the winner, or I have to complete this. I cannot even spend a day more without not being able to cross one stage or maybe seeing how the end is. So uh, what I'm trying to say here is I know how bad I am at wasting my time when I get addicted to a particular game. But I'm not that addicted to things like web series or maybe watching a movie.
Hmm.
I know I can control myself somehow there. Maybe if I start watching a series which I know is going to take me a month's time. Maybe if you are watching Game of Thrones, it'll take I don't know how many months to completely watch it from start to end. Maybe on a weekend you sit and you binge,
Yeah.
but on a weekday when you have to go for work, when you have to come back, cook for yourself, and then sleep and again do the same thing the next day, then you might maybe spend at max an hour in front of your television. But after that, you can just shut it down. I know I can shut it down and
Yeah.
I can go to sleep. That is not the case with a game.
You have more control on yourself for watching
Yeah, that's
a movie or any piece of
mm,
entertainment.
yeah.
So currently, basically, you don't have any games on your phone.
I actually don't have any games on my phone.
Interesting.
I'm, yeah, I did not change my phone for a long time now. I think it's been almost 3 or 4 years, and I'm
Yeah.
using the same phone. So my phone has now reached the maximum capacity of its internal storage. So any new app that I have to download, I sometimes have to go and delete a old app or something on my phone because there is so much of photos, there's so many videos that I have taken of my travels, and maybe so much of files related to my work that I have very less memory left for downloading a gaming app.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Makes sense. Because of your phone capacity being full, you're not downloading any new thing. So let me put it this way: what if, at this point, you wanted to download
Mm.
a new game? What would
Mhm.
do you think would make you download a new game? Like, uh, what do you think? Like, the very hypothetical question. I don't mean that you
Mhm.
have to go and download one now, but just
Mhm.
what do you think would make you interested in downloading a game now?
I think this is somehow related to my professional self. So the reason why I'm not buying a new phone right now is also because I know I'm going to use more of the phone for multimedia, maybe more games or stuff like that, and that will take away the time that I know I have to devote for my professional career. So it's a little difficult question for me to answer, although it's very simple on the face value of it. Uh, which game? I think it will be a game similar to Ludo, which
Okay.
will which will not demand too much of my
Hmm.
mind space.
Yeah.
It is not very complicated to play, and at the same time, it is not as addictive as a game with a storyline like a Shadow Fighter. So I can
And
control my addiction basically, how much
and the
time I
fact
spend on
that
the phone.
and the fact that you need someone else to play also, like,
Yeah, I can connect with somebody I know, or I can connect with
yeah,
a complete random stranger, and just the uh, just the fact that I'm playing with a stranger and I'm able to interact with a stranger. Maybe we are not talking, but we are just playing for that particular game. It still gives a thrill that you met somebody new today.
yeah. Huh, nice. And with the card games that you mentioned, like which are the ones, like we can talk about more examples of the ones you're playing, or like you said Uno, which was the other one, the sequence one. And is there anything else that you're trying out, card or board games or anything?
In card games, I think it's only Uno sequence. I think Bluff was something that we tried recently during one of our house parties. But yeah, nothing apart from that. These three.
Huh? Oh, nice. So like very party game kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Games that you can start within 2 minutes and finish within an hour.
Have you tried playing games like card or board games which require a lot of explaining?
No, I have not. I have
Oh,
not tried playing Monopoly. I have not tried playing. Uh, I think there was few more games when we were growing up that really required
yeah.
like we could build our business empire and things like that.
Yeah.
I have not played them.
It just like that's what I could imagine that you would hate that just saying based on like how you explained, but yeah, that's why I was interested to know like what
Yeah.
would you think about like trying out games which require so much explanation and lot of strategies and lot of things. Yes,
Okay.
it's
Yes.
it's very interesting to get the perspective also from like someone who used to play, doesn't play now, still quite
Mm.
interested in those the nostalgia value of the games. Yeah. So
Okay. Makes sense. I My image of you was like, since you're one of those kids in school who always used to get good marks. So I never knew that you were even playing any games. I thought you were the one who was always with the books after you go back home.
yeah, exactly. Like now, okay, this is okay. This is like a show off for myself, so it's okay. I was getting decent enough marks in school, but then I gave up
Yeah.
on
To
making
all the
marks.
listeners until now who doesn't know, this was the guy who always used to get good marks in school. Any standard, any class.
That's all. In school, like till 10th grade. Then things happened. So, yeah, that's why. Like, I haven't experienced that many games like earlier. Like the stories of, like we say, having this game console which is a rip-off of a Nintendo system, like those cassette games,
Mm.
similar ways of trying it. Then we used to have those cafes with uh, like PlayStation 1 when it came out. There used to be
Yeah.
cafes having you could pay for 30 minutes
PlayStation
and
2
have
was something I think it had all the cafes that I have seen when we were
yeah.
growing up. I think they started with PlayStation 2. I don't know if they even had PlayStation 1.
Yeah, it was rare with PlayStation 1, but PlayStation 2
Mm.
was the more common one, which just came into these small,
Mm.
dingy cafes where you used to pay for half an hour and 1 hour and sit and
Mm.
play. So I was still, as you said, the studious kind, so I was like uh, less frequent at those places. So, and then later, once I got into this field, or then it became a little more serious, but in a fun way. So I had
Mm.
a sweater somewhere like "Fun is a serious business," but yeah, that's how that's how it has turned into for me. So now with this podcast, I like to try to get that what is fun for you? What is that enjoyment
Mm.
that you remember from games? So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the fun part that I can remember is me going to my one of my friend's house. I think it was for a Mortal Kombat game. I had never played it, and he was always boasting about it. He had a wonderful PC back then, unlike most of us, and he used to play Mortal Kombat. So one of the weekends, I mean, I always used to beg him, boss, please take me to your house. I really want to play this game, but I don't know, it never worked out. Suddenly one day he asked me, "Okay, come over, we'll play." And uh, I think it was something to do with cycling because I had a cycle with a gear, and I think he wanted to try out my cycle, so we decided to meet. And then somehow we cut the deal that okay, you get my cycle, I get to play in your PC.
I can imagine him doing
Something,
that. So yes, yes, I would agree. Yeah, that would be the story for sure.
something like that, something like that. I don't clearly remember, but something like that. So yeah, me going to his home and we played Mortal Kombat for maybe an hour, and it was just like we trying to break his computer, trying to remove our frustration on his keyboard. It was it was crazy. I don't know why I still remember this incident, but somehow I think because this was the first time I had gone to somebody else's home for playing a game. Yeah, that was fun.
See, with all this nostalgia and memories, you should start playing more games again.
Yeah, sounds like right time.
No, yeah, yeah. Now you should start exploring that. See that it was so cool playing games. So now you should start playing more games again. That's what I'll suggest. Yeah, I don't have anything more to ask about. Is there anything you would recommend? Like because you're not playing any other games right now, but anything else that you want
Hmm.
to recommend that you think would be fun for anyone listening to check out, book or
Mhm.
series or even game, of course. But yeah,
Yeah, no, let's talk about game. I have this thing about this new trend wherein games that come with these VR headsets.
yeah. Have you
Uh,
tried it?
I haven't. I have seen people in this malls which has a separate gaming zone.
Yeah.
Uh, where I mean, they it's completely immersive. Uh, a lot more immersive that I have ever experienced before, I guess. But I have not tried it personally, frankly speaking, and that is why I want to give it a shot. And I want to hear from you if you have tried it and how good is it. Now since we were talking about getting back into this zone where we are able to go to our friends places and play games with them, I think that is possible with a VR headset and the metaverse. So how do you think this is shaping up, because you are at the center of these things, so I really want to get this out from
Yeah,
you.
there is like of at least till a few years ago, it was way more gimmicky than useful. I recently tried out something on I think the MetaQuest 2, and it was surprisingly way more immersive. I have played something on PSVR many years back when it was new, and it gave me headache. Like it wasn't for me. It was quite a weird experience to sit there and moving around, like just looking at things right here close to your eyes was
Mhm.
weird. But then that's what I thought for a long time. But now with the new headsets, I mean, I think MetaQuest 2 is the only recent one that I have tried, and I tried it for a very short time, not a long duration, and it was like way more immersive than I imagined it would be. Like it was really interesting. So if you get a chance in any of the gaming zones, go and try it and see for yourself how do you feel. Uh, because for some it might be weird, like it takes
Mhm.
some getting used to because you're
Okay.
not used to the screen being that close. So let's see. And I have never worked on any of the games which are for VR, so I don't know much about their inner workings, but
Okay.
it seems
But
interesting.
how about okay? How about this? The other side of things of a metaverse, as in you are able to connect with your friends virtually. Yeah, although it is virtually, but it almost feels like real. How is that aspect of things turning up?
I mean, it is still very early, I would say, but
Mm.
it's like the metaverse thing being just a word that is used to make it sound cool, but it was existing forever. Like technically, you're playing Ludo with a group of people that can be counted as a metaverse, because that's a
Hmm.
universe where there are different people with different Ludo games going around, you're walking through, and it's just how you frame it. So it has existed technically from like 30 years ago, I don't know, forever, I would say, in
Hmm.
internet terms. So that part of metaverse, that is like a marketing word, uh,
Hmm.
like when I look at it. But rest as a experience which is like collective, which is with friends, there are many things that you are experiencing already which are sort of like that. Like you explained in the Ludo example, you are playing
Hmm.
with random people, you are playing with whether people you know or people who you don't know, and you're in this space. Now that space may be a flat screen on your mobile, or
Hmm.
it's a 3D world that you can see with glasses right on your eyes. It's
Got
just a
it.
different way to view it.
Got it. I have one more question.
Yes.
It's just last question. Uh, do you have any survey where you are able to figure out what age group of people are engaged into games at the current day and age?
I think everyone. Uh, like everyone plays games, everyone has some sort of experience with games. Like again, let's give your example. With even though you don't play a lot of
Mm.
games like today, like right now, because
Mm.
of all of different reasons, but you
Mm.
have experienced different kind of games, like from the examples you gave with uh, Mortal Kombat and racing games, and even
Mm.
the Shadow Fight, which is kind of Mortal Kombat on a phone,
Yeah.
or the Ludo, which is another very big popular game. So
Mm.
everything is a game. The interactive, fun element of it is something that is consumed by everyone, and
Mm.
I firmly believe that there is no like a age group restriction for playing game in general. Uh,
Right.
so
I see more people as I move around of my parents' age who are playing games on their mobiles every day,
yeah,
at least for an hour or maybe more.
yeah, and
Mm.
that's what, like it's that thing with like when you talk about games in a very inverted commas games kind of way, a lot of people think that it's just a it's still this weird notion about gaming being something that is uh, again inverted commas a hardcore gaming thing where you sit in front of a PC or sit in front of a console to play. Like everyone has a great console in their hands now, and
Mm.
everyone has experienced some game or the other. So and
Yeah.
that's why I like to talk to people, and this is my effort in getting to talk to people to say, hey, you play games, talk to me and tell me how it feels like. And
Yeah.
that's why I think this was interesting, because it's still person who doesn't play games right now but has
Hmm.
played games and still has experiences related to games, and it's something, as someone who works on making games or who would like to make games for different kind of people and a lot of different players, it's always an interesting perspective when someone talks about games from what they feel about games. And because I keep talking about how I feel about games and how you should feel about games all day
Right.
long.
Correct.
That's my job. But this is my space where I talk to people who are like, how do you feel about games?
Interesting. Do you feel bad when people don't mention about Survey Surfer?
No,
Not
I
hurt at
mean,
all.
no.
I know you're really connected to the game.
Yes, because
Like
I work on it.
specifically why I asked the question because somehow I just realized I never mentioned Survey Surfer. I actually never. I played it maybe twice or thrice, but it never came to a point wherein I would delete other apps on my phone so that I could keep Survey Surfer and keep updating it app from time to time. And I never reached that stage of getting addicted to Survey Surfer basically. So Yeah, somehow I did not mention that in all this conversation we had. So I'm
Yeah,
just
it's okay.
curious.
It's not about my game. Like this is my personal podcast, so I will. I am not like self-promoting or promoting the place I work or etc. So that is not included. So it's okay, and that's why it's
Right.
fine. Even though it's a very popular game, most downloaded game on mobile ever, but
Mm.
still there can be someone who doesn't play it, and that's okay because
Absolutely.
that's the point. You're not making games for everyone. Every game is for people who like it. Yeah, it is uh, a different audience for that game, and that's okay. And that is what with every piece of interactive entertainment that you can find, or any entertainment, for example.
Yeah.
Because before
Got
this,
it.
I was working on all the My Talking Tom Friends brand of games, so it was also another very popular brand which everyone knew that someone or some of their kids were like playing this or doing that. So
Talking Tom, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's what you mentioned. Yeah, I remember it now that you mentioned. Yeah, I had spent quite some time with it. Yeah, I did.
See, that's my point. Like when you say like I haven't played games, or which is like your question earlier, like which is the age group that plays games, or which is like which are the kind of people. It's not. It's a very wide spectrum of everyone who plays games, and that's the cool thing about games in any format, any form. Yes, and yeah, we can just wrap up. I think we have spoken a long time about games and not about games, so it was nice. It was a fun experience for me.
And thank you so much, Ishan, for inviting me here. It was a pleasure talking to you after a long, long time and discussing and refreshing all those memories.
Thanks for being here, and for everyone else whoever's listening. If you want to be a part of the podcast, I would love to have you on the podcast as a guest. So just drop into my DMs on at Playstyle Podcast on Instagram, or just wherever, just like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff that you say at the end of the videos and podcasts. So do all that stuff, and then I'll wrap this up. So thank you. Thanks, Aditya.
Thank you, Ishan.